Good morning. Welcome to worship. We're glad you're here. It's a special day. Besides being the second Sunday in Advent, we are celebrating 3 baptisms this morning. We did Mason a little early just to make sure we had a good run of it. And we have his twin brother and sister that will happen in just a few minutes, Harvey and Ava. They are the children of Ramsey and Lindsay Aker. Lindsay grew up here as Lindsay Benish. And so it's just a pleasure and a privilege to be able to celebrate this with you today. So thank you, the whole family, for being here, and friends, as we celebrate this morning. The annual meeting follows this, but we will give you time to go out and get, the treats and the coffee, and you can bring them back in here so that we can have a meeting. All the information is out in front, and we'll go from there. So as we begin, I invite you to, say hello to each other. I'll just let you say hello for a minute, and then we're going to have a word from our neighbor, which is one of the things we're doing during Advent. So just, say hello to the people around you. Yeah. Perfect. I love the chatter. So what I want to do next is during this time of Advent, we're celebrating that we have neighbors who are reaching out as partners in ministry to do really cool things in our community. And last week we heard from Waunakee Neighborhood Connection. Today it's the Waunakee Ecumenical Board. We call that WEB for short, and the food pantry in particular, because on Saturdays, we've had a team for now the last several years that serve families on the weekend. And it's a team of people from Peace every time it happens. And we started out when we first served, and we're going to put some pictures up. So we'll start with some of those. When we first started serving, this was a project Tom Christ did on his internship. He had to work with a social mission in the community. And so we said, it would be really lovely if the food pantry could open on the weekend to serve those people who can't come during the week. And so it started out that we would serve 8 families maybe on the weekend. And yesterday, our group served close to 60. 56 families got served yesterday with food for their families. And so you're just going to see some pictures of our people. There's our people serving the people that come. Mostly you're going to see pictures of our people. And I just want to give you a few more details about this. Because I ask people to talk, but sometimes that's a little scary. So when people come, they get to have choices. They order their stuff ahead of time. And on Friday, our people gather there to shop for them and get it all ready for them to pick up on Saturday morning. And so we have a Friday crew and we have a Saturday crew. Sometimes they overlap. We don't often advertise for volunteers because the people who volunteer to do this love doing it. We have a Spanish speaker, and the Spanish speaker at everyone, so that we can communicate with whoever comes in their cars, and they get to pick out choice items. So like sometimes people will donate a can of crushed pineapple, or there's some random packages of meat or something that there's not enough for everybody, and so it's not available all the time, but those are part of the choice things. Occasionally, they have Starbucks cake pops, and so those get offered to the children, always asking the parents first. And so it's a really wonderful ministry that everybody who volunteers for this is a part of. Can I have everybody who volunteers for this stand for just a minute? Come on, you can do this. Yep. Stand up if you've ever been there. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So from January to September this year, the food pantry, the Web Food Pantry, serviced 4,512 people an average of 145 to 185 households per month. This started out as a very small ecumenical project. Dan Gosdek was the president of the web organization for a whole lot of years. And there's a lot of things that we that web does besides the food pantry, but the food pantry has been one of the main things. The food pantry is now housed in the old library building. And the old library building also now houses the Waunakee Neighborhood Connection. And they are working in tandem, not to duplicate efforts, but to coordinate efforts to make sure that the needs of our community are covered in some extraordinary ways. And so for all of you who've worked on that and made that possible, thank you. For all of you who donate food to the pantry, what you do matters so much. We get to serve the needs of our community in powerfully positive ways. What I also love is that when these people that volunteer for Fridays and Saturdays, especially on Saturdays, what they tell me about the people that we give food to is that they're patient if they have to wait, that they're always thankful, and they're always appreciative. This is a group of people who really needs what the pantry has to offer them, what our community can spare for them. And so that you do that is really amazing in powerful ways. So yesterday, Jan came back to church because we had to get the annual report stuff done and we were waiting on a few pieces for that. And she came back and she was wearing a Jolly shirt over a sweater because it was cold outside yesterday morning. And she said she was just on high because she had just finished serving at the pantry. And it's just such a wonderful experience. So if you want to be a part of that experience or a part of that team, talk to Jan Rakowski because she's the one who coordinates our team for every month that we serve. So just know that what we're doing as a community of faith, what we're doing as individual people who give money and food to the pantry makes a real difference to all the neighborhoods in Waunakee and in the surrounding area. So thank you for that. Anything anybody wants to add that works there? Mark and Joanne. Sure, come on up.
So I have the privilege of being the person that goes out and greets the people at the cars and then takes the orders for the perishables. One person comes to mind last year. She looked at me and said, you know, the food pantry has kept my family going for the last 2 years. So without what we do, there'd be a lot of people in very dire straits. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Mark?
I see you have it there, so maybe you were going to mention it, but the food pantry, along with Neighborhood Connection actually has a donor where they do a Twice as Nice campaign every year. And everybody's looking for money this time of year, but what Neighborhood Connection has done is teamed up with the food pantry, and their donor has agreed to match any financial donation to the food pantry through, I want to say, the end of December. And dollar for dollar match up to $30,000, which is a heck of a lot of money and important to the food pantry because as the numbers grow, as Karen mentioned, the food pantry doesn't always get all the food donations we need or the right things. So those are filled in by going out and purchasing food. The amount of money that the food pantry is spending on purchasing food has more than doubled, almost tripled in the last year since we moved over to the old library. So those financial needs are even greater than they were before because of the numbers going up so much. So if you can spare a couple of bucks, go online to the food pantry website. You can donate right through that website. Of course, you can always send a check there. You can drop it off at church here with Jan, and that donor is going to match it dollar for dollar. So it can have a huge impact for just a couple of bucks. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. And this is Dan Gosdek.
And to save money, they always need bags, plastic bags like you get at the Pig when you check out, or the paper bags. And to save them money, if you have bags that you don't want, You can always drop them off at the food pantry. There's a black box out by the door. Give them, or you can get them to me some way. But if you save bags, they want it to buy bags, and they go through a lot of bags. So if you give them the regular paper bags you get at the pig, or the plastic bags, that'll save them money so they can buy more food. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. If you couldn't hear him, because this is a rock star kind of thing, he's saying if you have bags,